Hello everyone, welcome back, and today I'll be reviewing the college football week 12 games, and I know I haven't been as consistent lately as my uploads, but I've been busy lately doing some stuff with some friends, and I was going to make a preview, but I was again doing stuff, and I have had a cold or something recently, and if you notice I sound sick, that's why. But anyway, I will be getting into these games, starting off with South Carolina versus Texas A&M. I honestly have never seen a game like this, ever. Because if I'm not mistaken, this is the biggest comeback in college football history. When a team has been down, 27 and a half, yeah. I couldn't believe it. After I saw Texas A&M get that touchdown late in the third quarter, I was like, yeah, South Carolina, they're cooked. But it's like, it is unreal how it was a completely different game in the second half. I mean, it's like Mater Dei High School playing your random country town out in rural Mississippi. It was just a complete, I've never seen anything like it. I cannot believe that Texas A&M won this game. I cannot believe it. I still fathom to believe how Texas A&M won. They got and it wasn't, you couldn't just point to, it was this or it was this, and in the first half for Texas A&M, it was everything. Their defense was getting absolutely bullied. The offensive line, defensive line were getting dominated. Wide receivers, oh my gosh, don't even get me started on the Texas A&M wide receivers. Literally could not catch a pass. I mean, that was the worst wide receiver play I've ever seen. Marcel Reed was playing absolutely atrocious in the first half. Couldn't run the ball again. Just the offensive line got absolutely destroyed. Same thing, Lenore Sellers had a ton of time to throw. It's just shocking how South Carolina completely eviscerated Texas A&M in the first half. I mean, they dominated on every single aspect of the game. Lenore Sellers, and it wasn't just the first half. He didn't play good the entire game, really. He had a couple nice throws and runs, but other than that, he really didn't play that good. But South Carolina is still up 30-3 at half. But I guess I'll get into more of the first half. I mean, it really, Texas A&M really lost it when late in the second or right before half. Really, I mean, they get really close to scoring and they get stopped at the goal line, and then they miss a chip shot field goal, which allows South Carolina to get the ball with under a minute left. They score a touchdown. Marcel Reed throws another interception before half. Then they get a field goal, so that's 10 points in under a minute. And then South Carolina had another touchdown before that. And on the first drive of the game, South Carolina, they were getting sacked too. South Carolina, I mean, Texas A&M could have easily caused them to go 3 and out, but I mean, they just have busted coverage, and South Carolina gets a huge playoff. It was a good throw by Lenore Sellers, but so they get a field goal off that. But then Texas A&M gets a field goal next drive. But then after that, it's just complete domination. Marcel Reed had 3 interceptions. I mean, a lot. All of them were really bad too. I mean, it was just overthrown or underthrown. He had that one pick in the end zone. Again, he played terrible. He couldn't run, he couldn't scramble because the offensive line was getting shut down. And then the Texas A&M receivers, this is the same drive as when they missed the field goal, but he drops a pass in the end zone. So it's just ridiculous, man. I could not believe how bad Texas A&M was getting absolutely belted. I mean, it was unreal. But the second half was just it's just a completely different game. It was like turning on a different football game. It's like if you put Ohio State up against Kentucky or something like that. It's just a completely different game. I cannot believe the switch in how these teams played. You could tell South Carolina was just trying to play like a prevent, more preventing. You just, limit possessions, burn the clock, play it safe. But they just completely changed. I mean, it's they weren't anywhere near as physical. They weren't as coordinated. They didn't, they just lost everything. You can't even, and again, you can't really point to one thing in this game. It's just one team played amazing in the first half, and then they played really terrible. One team played terrible in the first half, the other team played great. It's like not Alabama. It's like the Auburn-Georgia game. You know how Auburn was dominating first half. Really could be up by more. Honestly, South Carolina could have been up by more, but I think they dropped a couple interceptions, or they could have. It's like the Auburn-Georgia game on steroids. Again, as to how Texas A&M won this game, I can't believe it. Marcel Reed did play really good in the second half. Even though South Carolina's they are atrocious in the second half. The gaps in the South Carolina defense were insane in the second half. Also, Texas A&M's receivers actually started catching some passes. So, that obviously helped out Marcel Reed. That was part of the reason Marcel Reed wasn't playing as good as, when you have okay, Texas A&M's receivers had to have like 10 or more drop passes that game. There's no way they didn't. At least 10. There had to have been. So that really hurts his, stat line. But Marcel Reed, because here's the thing. I was saying this a while ago. If you force Marcel Reed to beat you through the air, and I'm talking about like a defense that is good at containing the run and actually forces him to go out there and throw for 200 plus yards, even though he had like 450 yards of this game. I'm talking about, because really South Carolina's defense is not very good. Once they play a team with a really good secondary and a team with front seven good enough to contain Marcel Reed in the run game, I'm talking about a defense that'll challenge them. They're going to get cooked. And I know Missouri has a good defense, and we've seen glimpses of this. In the South Carolina game, the first half, we now see that once Marcel Reed is forced to beat you through the air, he's going to struggle. Is he a bad passer by any stretch of the imagination? No, I think he's actually an above average passer. But he's not going to go out here and, start becoming a gunslinger. Now, granted, that Concepcion guy, by the way, is that guy even guardable? Oh my gosh. I have, anytime I turn on the Texas A&M game and they're on offense, all I hear is Concepcion 50-yard pass completion or something I don't know. But basically just most of Texas A&M's receivers, once they're actually challenged by a good secondary, Marcel Reed has to make good passes. He's going to struggle. We saw it against Auburn pretty much that entire game. Texas A&M only had 16 points. So, I don't know. I'm telling you, once Texas A&M plays a team I think Georgia. Okay, I say Georgia. I think their secondary's improved, and their defense has been improving over time. Because and I'll get to their win against Texas later, but they've looked better. Once they play a team like Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, and maybe even an Ole Miss, even though their secondary is not great, they improved a little bit. Even though I didn't watch the Florida game, once they play a decent defense, he's going to get cooked. And here's the thing, you can make those mistakes against South Carolina and against Auburn and against maybe Missouri or whoever else, one of these crappy teams like Arkansas. You can get away with it. But once you play an actual title contender like Indiana, Georgia, Ohio State, Ole Miss, teams like that, they are going to get cooked. They're playing with fire right now. Right now, their offensive line and their receivers are just so good that it doesn't really affect them. Marcel Reed could have 100 rushing yards by himself, and their receivers are good enough to that, they can kind of help out Marcel Reed enough to, and it really works like mediocre defenses. But I'm telling you, once they play a really good defense, they can't be making these mistakes. Now, granted, this comeback was, this does prove that Texas A&M is a title contender. I do think Texas A&M can absolutely win the national championship. But the only way they can do that is if they don't have 3 turnovers in the first half, which I'll get to a team that actually did have 3 turnovers in the first half and lost because of it. But, Texas A&M, so overall this was not a good win, I would say, but it is very, very impressive that they came back from down 27 at half. Again, that is very impressive. It's the first time that's ever happened in college football history. So, that's everybody's talking about how resilient Texas and Georgia are, but dang, that wasn't really a resilient win. But Texas A&M, overall, I still think they're a good team, but they got to watch out with playing this bad on offense in the first half. Next, I guess I'll talk about this game for a little bit, even though I didn't watch this. So I'm going to go and say the three games, the only three games I watched were the Texas A&M South Carolina, Alabama Oklahoma, and Georgia Texas. But I will give my thoughts. Like, these will be more reactions than reviews, I guess, and my thoughts on it for these other games. But for games like this, Pittsburgh and Notre Dame, I cannot believe College Football Game Day went to this game. It's ridiculous, quite frankly, and I think it's a major disrespect to teams like Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma. Because here's the thing. I get they're trying to be more inclusive and they don't want to just keep going to SEC teams for game day. But here's the thing. Do you think more people, and do you think these games are going to be more relevant? Like, do you think more people are going to be watching Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, or Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma? You already know the answer to that. And the games are much more relevant, too. Like, come on. Texas, Georgia's a top 10 matchup, and kind of Alabama, Oklahoma is, too. So, no idea why those games don't have game day going there. And, I get they're trying to be inclusive, but, again, these games are going to be much more watched and much more cared about. And, sure, if Notre Dame loses and if Pittsburgh wins, they might get in the playoffs. But here's the thing. Everybody knew Pittsburgh was going to lose this game. Are we being so serious? You think Pittsburgh has the guys that Notre Dame does? No. Notre Dame is the much better team in this game. The only reason Pittsburgh's ranked is because of their record, and, they have, maybe a couple nice ones, but I don't know. Truth is, they're not a very good team. Notre Dame was way more talented, and they are just the much better team. Everyone knew Notre Dame was going to beat the snot out of Pittsburgh. So the only reason people were picking Pittsburgh to win was just, I don't know, to call an upset that might throw people off. No one really thought Pittsburgh had a shot at winning this game. I knew Notre Dame was going to come in here and win. So I think this game was so predictable it shouldn't have been here. But, Notre Dame, they're going to get in the playoffs. I mean, their schedule's just a cupcake over and over again. Now, the only game I would say is not a cupcake is USC. And USC is actually right now looking like a playoff contender. So I'll get into that later, though. Notre Dame, they're probably going to get in the playoffs because this is their last semi-decent test. But other than that, Notre Dame, they're a good team. But my goodness, they did get a free path to the playoffs every single season. And now I'm going to be talking about this game for just a little bit. It's more so not the game. It's to talk about Ohio State. Because I have never seen a team ranked number one have this easy of a schedule. I have never seen it. It's insane that Ohio State, and here's the thing, do I think they're the best team in the nation? Yes. But I can't believe that their path to the playoffs is this easy. Goodness, people that argue the Big Ten is as good as the SEC, this is literally what I'm talking about. Your number one team, all they have to do is play sorry and sucky UCLA, sucky Purdue, sucky Illinois, sucky Grambling State or something, whoever the heck they play. It's ridiculous. The one good team Texas has played, or Ohio State played, is Texas. That's literally it. Washington was an okay road win, but Washington just lost to Wisconsin on the road. And I get road wins are somewhat difficult. I mean, in conference play, they are difficult, but Wisconsin's awful. And oh my God, it's just so frustrating because people are now talking about Julian Sand winning the Heisman. I know I had a huge rant about this in my college football playoff poll reaction or the bracket, but it's still so annoying because Julian Sand in Ohio State has just had literally a guaranteed path to the playoffs. Goodness, it's so annoying. And now that Ty Simpson had a pretty okay game against Oklahoma, he's out of the race, so now the front runner's probably either Julian Sand or Mendoza, even though I don't think it should be either of those two. And I'll get into who it should be in a second or, later on in the video. But, oh my gosh, it's just so frustrating that Ohio State gets this easy of a path to the playoff. Now I'll get into the Alabama versus Oklahoma game. Yikes. Alabama is in quite a predicament because now they are, like, most people would say they're not in playoff trouble because their remaining schedule would not be very hard on an eye test. But their last game is at Jordan-Hare, and it's a away game. It's a rivalry game, the best rivalry in the nation, and it is always a crazy game in Jordan-Hare Stadium. And as an Auburn fan, I'm not even trying to make it, biased. That's saying, oh my gosh, Alabama's cooked. I'm not saying that, but hey, man, it's always interesting. They're going to be. Here's the thing, and you've probably heard this online that Alabama has everything to gain right now. They are okay. Even if they do lose to Auburn, they might get into the playoffs, but I don't know. It's going to be very hard for them to get in the playoffs. Like, it's really ultimately going to come down to, let's say they might, Texas A&M or Georgia is going to have to lose or something like that for them to get in the playoffs. Well, I think it's going to be Alabama and Texas A&M for the SEC championship. I'm not 100% sure yet, but it's going to be, again, this is going to be very difficult for Alabama again, and if they do lose to Auburn. But, oh, my gosh, that game's going to be wild because Auburn, we have nothing to lose. So, and come on, it's like we get to be our rival. That's going to be great. And it's another 100%. But anyway, I'm going to get into this game now. This game was doomed from the start. I mean, oh, my gosh, Alabama, like, how do you I don't want to say they completely outplayed Oklahoma, but I think they played much better outside of, like, the ridiculous turnovers. I mean, the defense played outstanding. And here's what everybody's not talking about. People are talking about Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, Isaiah Horton, Latsier Brooks, however you say his first name. Those guys on offense, the running back, Daniel Hill, Jamie, like all those guys on offense. But really, the part of Alabama's team that has been winning them games is the defense. Against Missouri, against South Carolina, against Vanderbilt, and against really this game, the defense is what kept them in the game. I mean, they completely shut down. Like, the fact that Oklahoma won this game, and this is very similar to the Tennessee game. How on earth did Oklahoma win that? It doesn't feel like they did, because I think Tennessee dang near completely outplayed Oklahoma that game. Oklahoma's defense was getting absolutely carved up. Offense was getting shut down, quite frankly, even though, like, Oklahoma had 30 points. I mean, for the most part, Tennessee's defense did a really good job. It's just all these absolutely ridiculous mistakes that are very preventable. Like, Oklahoma, they get Alabama goes 3 and out first drive. They have an and by the way, the special teams were awful. So they punt the ball away. Oklahoma gets a 70-something yard return. So they get to the 20, they get a field goal. Alabama, can't move the ball at all in the first quarter. And Ryan Williams might actually be the worst receiver on Alabama right now. And I don't even think that's a hot take. I think Brooks, I think Isaiah Horton, and I think Jeremy Bernard are all better than him, because he is, how do you... It's just insane. He's on punt return. This guy just starts trying to dance around everybody. So he's a sitting duck. He gets tackled, and of course he's going to fumble. I mean, when he's over there trying to juke everyone out, he's just a sitting duck. He's going to get hit the crap out of, and he obviously gets the ball punched out, so Oklahoma gets the ball, literally right at, 20 yards or something, like 20 yards away from the goal line, so that gives them a touchdown. So the special teams just gives Oklahoma 7 points. And then Ty Simpson has that pick six, which was, it really was his fault. He's, defensive line's about to get to him, so he panics. He throws it in double coverage. It gets picked off. So they return that one for a touchdown. So they have 14 points because of Alabama's really stupid mistakes. Really, the first half, Alabama's defense, again, they played really freaking good. I cannot believe Oklahoma ended up winning this game. It's just really shocking. Now, Oklahoma's defense, the defensive line, absolutely bullied Alabama's offensive line. And, Ty Simpson he did not play very well. He played okay, I guess. He made a couple good throws, but overall he just did not play like a Heisman contender. Again, he had that fumble the second half, so that's another turnover. Like, when you have 3 turnovers in the game, you're not going to win very many games, I hate to tell you. And here's the interesting statistic that I heard. Ty Simpson has had 5 straight fumbles in 5 straight games, which is kind of ridiculous. Now, granted, are all of them his fault? Necessarily no. And, the one before half, I mean, it's not, I don't want to say it's like his fault really, but it, like, I guess kind of is. I mean, if he would have gotten the ball quicker, but, right tackle gets blown up. He's making the motion, he's throwing the ball, but just gets hit out in a really bad time. So, I mean, it happens, but it's just, these are the mistakes that Alabama keeps having that are losing them games. And, you can get away with it. I said this for Texas A&M, and I'm going to say the same for Alabama. You can get away with it with Missouri, South Carolina, maybe Vanderbilt. But once you play a decent team, like I'd say Oklahoma's a good team. Once you play a good team like Oklahoma, you can't, it's going to cost you a lot. Like, it's going to cost you way more. And Alabama, like, you can't even really be upset that you lost. I mean, you can be, you can be mad that, like, oh my gosh, our defense played good and our offense threw the game away. But I mean, you can't really be that mad because you didn't deserve to win the game. If you're gonna play that bad, in Oklahoma, Oklahoma didn't play that great. John Mateer, he played okay. He didn't have a single passing touchdown. He got that little scramble for a touchdown, but other than that, he really didn't do anything that great. He just kind of took care of the ball and got them the yards they needed to get some field goals, and that's all Oklahoma really needed to do because Alabama gave them 14 points. I mean, when you give your opponent 14 points, 2 touchdowns, it's very difficult for teams to come back and win just in general, but against a good enough team like Oklahoma, you're not going to recover from it. So, Alabama, they're second. I think this is like one of the only times they've lost to back-to-back teams. It was Michigan, and now it's Oklahoma. I mean, dang, Ty Simpson, he's probably out of the Heisman race. So there goes his hopes really of winning it because he really did not play that well. If you have a pick 6 and you lose the game, you're not going to win the Heisman, and that's what and it's what took John Mateer out of the Heisman race. He played really bad against Texas, had a ton of turnovers. And Ty Simpson, even the fumble wasn't necessarily completely on him. It kind of was a turnover on him, so he has like 2 turnovers in the game. And you can't do that if you're a Heisman quarterback, so he's probably out of the race now. And oh my gosh, I completely forgot about this. Alabama, they get like what? This is when they're about, I think they got really close to scoring another touchdown. And yeah, this is before half. This absolute a-hole of a kicker, and by the way, this guy's been sucking it up all year. He misses the kick. It's a chip shot. I know Connor Talty, he's been playing bad all season. He goes up to the long snapper and chews him out. Like, oh my gosh, like, he should be gone. If Nick Saban saw that, he would have him off the team immediately. I mean, that's just so oh my gosh, like that made every Bama fan, every college football fan in general angry. I mean, that's just so just pathetic. So they missed that to tie the game 17-17. That puts them in a disadvantage. Alabama scores a touchdown. They go up 17-14. They have a nice little drive. But, again, they get shut out dang near the rest of the game. I mean, the offensive line, again, they played really bad. Oklahoma's secondary played quite well, I'd say. Ty Simpson not the best. So all Oklahoma did was just not turn over the ball, get enough to get a couple field goals and win the game. That's really all they had to do. So Alabama, they're still in the playoffs and they're probably still a top 10 team. And this is what I was saying in the last playoff poll. There's just been something off about Alabama. They've been winning. They've had a really good resume this season. They're the first team ever to win 4 straight SEC games of ranked opponents, 4 ranked SEC teams without a bye week. First team ever do it. But the way they've looked very sketchy. I said this in the playoff poll review. They've looked sketchy, and they haven't been playing great. They've been playing good enough, but you can't be having these costly mistakes against better teams like Oklahoma. So it ultimately loses the game. I'm sure they might improve on it a little bit, but against teams like Auburn in a rivalry game, and you already know Auburn is going to be fired up, and especially if it means to knock them out of the playoffs. You already know Auburn, the Auburn fans, the players, they are going to be so ready to go knock you out. I mean, they're going to be dying to. So Alabama, dude, that Iron Bowl is going to be crazy. So we'll have to see how that turns out. But Alabama, their season's not over. They're still a playoff contender, but they are not a championship team. Ty Simpson out of the playoffs. So that's really all I had to say about this game. Next, we have Georgia, Texas, and what a game this was. Man, boy, did Texas get absolutely worked again. This is the second time that Georgia has just blown out Texas in the regular season. Did I see this coming? Kinda. I thought Georgia would win handily because I thought it was a really bad matchup, but I didn't think it'd be this bad. Dang, beat by 25 points. It really came down that, Georgia got that crazy onside kick, which was electric. So they get that. That's really what kind of put the game away for Texas, because at that point it really just got out of hand. But the first half, Texas really did. They competed. Defense could not get us. Because I'm going to go ahead and say it. Gunnar Stockton is my Heisman frontrunner. I do not care what anyone says. The only reason that he wasn't getting talked about enough because he didn't beat Alabama. And this is what another YouTuber says. He made a really good point on this. Most Heisman contenders, if you really want to be up there, you have to beat Alabama. That's your staple win because they are the front brand of college football. So beating them would have literally put Georgia. Georgia would be the Heisman front runner if they did. If they did win, Gunnar Stockton would. But dang, he already proved it tonight. This guy has had he has had, in my opinion, the best performances in the nation. You saw it against Ole Miss, and you saw it tonight against Texas. And, people bring up, Julian Sand, Mendoza. Okay. Who are these defenses these Big Ten teams have played? Oh, that's right. They have not played a very good defense at all. It'd be different if maybe they played a decent defense in Iowa or something like that. But no, they haven't played them either. Indiana and Ohio State have not played a single good defense this entire season outside of Ohio State playing Texas. And Julian Sand, he didn't do anything crazy against Texas. You saw Gunnar Stockton go out here, and this is also a home game, so this is the same test. He goes out here and lights up lights them up. Gunnar Stockton, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in the nation. He proves it again. He's just unreal. Texas offense, Georgia's offense could not be stopped, but Texas, Arch Manning, I will say, he didn't play that bad, really. You look at the stats, he had a turnover. He had a really bad turnover, but he didn't play that bad. It's just, again, once Georgia got that onside kick and got that touchdown after that, the game was over from then. Georgia gets up 28-14, 28-14. You're not going to, 28-10, but you're not going to win in the fourth quarter when you're down, 28-10 by 18 points. It's just pretty much impossible to come back from them. So Texas, after that, they were cooked. But, Arch Manning, he didn't play that bad. Trey Wisner, they had some success in the first half, but, again, that onside kick pretty much just put the game away. That was a really good play call from Kirby Smart. And that 4th and 1 call when they had in their own territory, dang, that was really gutsy. I really like that play call. Again, Georgia's offense right now is so good. They are a top 3 offense in the nation. Dang. And again, Gunnar Stockton, I have Gunnar Stockton for Heisman. He is the best quarterback in the nation right now. Again, I don't think it's that much of a competition because I don't see how people could say it's Julian Sander Mendoza when they literally play no good defenses. At least Georgia has played Texas now, who has a pretty good defense. They played Alabama. They have a really good defense, too. They played Florida. Florida doesn't have a bad defense, even though they've been letting up some points and they got blown out by Kentucky. We've seen Florida play some good defense. So I think Gunnar Stockton should be the front runner. I think Georgia has a top 3 offense. Georgia's defense has also been massively improving. The defensive line has been playing great. Secondary, they let up a lot of chunk plays and the first half. And honestly, Texas did kind of shoot themselves in the foot. They had some very costly drop passes. I mean, Arch Manning had a really good throw to one of their receivers, but he just drops it, and if he catches it, it's a touchdown. So, I mean, Texas could have had a lot more points in the first half. It could have been tied. Heck, Texas could have been winning maybe, but again, second half, Georgia just completely, I stopped watching the game, early in the fourth quarter because I was, going to do something with some friends. But, I mean, yeah, from that point on, Georgia just, they won the game. But Georgia just complete domination over Texas. Again, I'm going to say it, Gunnar Stockton for Heisman. Georgia, they are a championship contender. If this were a few weeks ago, after that very fringe win against, I don't know, who was that, Florida maybe, or after they played, it was some other team. I'm forgetting who they played, but, if this were earlier on, I would have said, nah, Georgia, they're not all that. But, nah, they have improved a lot. Very impressed with them. They are a championship team. Again, I'll continue to say it. They are a championship contender. I think they're much better than last year's team. This team's good. Okay, for these next few games, I'm just going to be really giving my thoughts on them because these games, to me, didn't really matter as much. I didn't watch them, really. But I will talk about this Ole Miss Florida game a little bit. I didn't even consider watching this because I thought Ole Miss was just going to easily win. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure, Florida was winning 24-20 at half. I don't really know what's going on there. Someone's going to have to explain to me what happened in the comments or something like that. But all I saw was Florida was winning at half, and I was like, whoa, what? But then, Ole Miss shut out Florida in the second half, I guess, because they didn't score again. Ole Miss, they get, 2 touchdowns, I guess. So that was very surprising. I mean, from the looks of it, it looks like Ole Miss absolutely blew them out from these statistics. I mean, 300 passing yards to 218. I mean, good God, Ole Miss had just way more rushing yards too. I mean, so I thought from a statistic standpoint, it looks like Ole Miss won by a lot, but dang, someone's going to have to tell me what happened there. But Ole Miss, I think they're also, do I think they're a championship contender? Honestly, they kind of are. If their defense keeps improving, they will be because they have a really good offense. I'm going to remind y'all, they dang near beat Georgia. It's just they literally did not get a single stop that game. And they kind of they manhandled Oklahoma too, who just beat Tennessee and Alabama on the road. In a night game. Both night games in the SEC. No. Alabama's 2:30, but again, Oklahoma, they're a really good team. And Ole Miss manhandles them, and then they barely beat Georgia, barely lost to Georgia. So Ole Miss is a legit team, but so my thoughts, Ole Miss, they're sitting pretty right now, but someone's going to have to explain me what happened in the comment section. Next, the only reason I'm talking about this game is to talk about Georgia Tech. Do I like Georgia Tech? No, I don't think they're the playoff team, but they only have one loss. They're probably going to play either Miami or Virginia in the ACC championship, and whoever wins that game gets in the playoffs no matter how good their schedule is. So, the record is, again, Georgia Tech, they're probably going to get in the playoffs. They're definitely going to get in if they beat Miami or Virginia in the ACC championship. But, it is what it is. Georgia Tech, they're okay. But from this, they almost lost to freaking Boston College. And then they've been giving up a surprising amount of points lately. They gave up dang near 50 to NC State. And then they gave up 34 to 1-10 Boston College. Are you kidding me? So, I don't know. At least their offense has been good. But my gosh, once they play, I'm telling you, first team they play, I'm talking about you can throw in Georgia, Bama, any one of the top 12, they are getting the dog crap beat out of them. I'll just say that. Next, I'm really going to be talking about this game to talk about Utah. Utah, I think, is actually a college football playoff contender now. Their 2 losses are to a 1-loss BYU team on the road. Their other loss is to a top 10 Texas Tech team who has been blowing out teams left and right outside of Arizona State. So Utah doesn't really have any bad losses. They've been blowing out a bunch of teams now. I think they are a top 12 team, or they're at least very close. I think it's them and USC are really going to be fighting for a spot. USC did get a ranked win over Iowa, but I'll talk about that game next. But Utah right now, they are sitting very pretty. Haven't watched a lot of Utah film, so I don't know much about them. The only Utah game I watched again was Texas Tech, but dang, Utah right now, they're a legit team because dang, over the past years they've always been ranked inside like the top 15, but then when they finish the season, they're always unranked with like 4 or 5 losses. But this year, nah, they're actually playoff contenders. So we'll see what happens with them later. Next, we're going to be talking about USC, and I think USC is also a legit playoff contender. I mean, Iowa, they're not scrubs. They've had a couple decent wins this season. They have a really good defense, but they went in there. I'm pretty sure, USC was down like 21-10 at half, and they shut out Iowa. Even though I said the only games I actually watched were Texas A&M, Alabama, and the Georgia games, but this one, I mean, dang, USC has continued to, they had a decent win against Nebraska. They blew out Michigan. They have a nice win against a ranked Iowa team. So, I mean, they're sitting pretty right now. I mean, I think they will be in the playoffs if they win out, definitely. I'm pretty sure they play UCLA maybe. Is that their rival they play? I'm not sure. But they only have one conference loss to Illinois. Illinois, they're not the best team, but again, one conference loss, one ranked loss like Notre Dame is, a lot of people would say, a top 10 team. So they don't have a bad resume. They have a pretty decent resume, and I think will get in this playoffs, and they are a pretty decent team. For their quarterback has actually been playing really good, and their defense has improved by a lot. Normally, USC is just letting up points left and right, but this year their defense has actually been playing pretty decent. So this year, I don't know, they might be pretty good. Next, I'm only talking about this game because 1, I picked Duke to win, and 2, Virginia is right now, they're probably going to have a battle with Miami of who's pretty much going to get in the playoffs, because whoever has a better record in the ACC is going to play Georgia Tech. Or if Georgia Tech loses, I don't know who Georgia Tech plays last. Well, they play Georgia, but I don't know if they have another tough conference game. I don't think they do. But again, those 3 teams are really, only one of them is really going to get in the playoffs. Now, if Georgia Tech, let's say 9-2, they play in the ACC championship, because I mean, we already know Georgia Tech's going to get the snot beat out of them by Georgia. But let's say Georgia Tech, they play Miami or Virginia. Even if they lose that game, they'll still probably get in, because, I mean, I don't think it's what happened with Clemson last year. They had 3 losses, but one of those losses was in the ACC championship game, which a lot of people are saying, oh, well, you shouldn't take that loss against them, because 1, they're forced to play in it, and 2, they're still competing for their conference championship. So it's not a regular season game. So I think, again, even if Georgia Tech loses in the ACC championship, they'll probably still get in. As for Virginia and Miami, they're both 2-loss teams. And Virginia, okay, their 2 losses, California, and Virginia lost to Wake Forest, I'm pretty sure. It was Louisville who lost to California. But Louisville's out of the playoffs. But or are they? Okay, they have 3 losses. One of their losses is to Virginia. Their other loss is to, I don't even remember who else they lost to, but I do think Louisville's out of the playoffs. But Virginia, they lost to Wake Forest, which is in NC State, which are both conference games. I think Louisville also has 2 conference losses. So really it could be either of those teams. So I don't know. The ACC is really tight right now. It comes down to Miami, Louisville, Virginia, maybe Louisville, and Georgia Tech. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't think these teams play head-to-head at all. I mean, Virginia played Louisville early in the season, but like Miami, Virginia, Georgia Tech, I don't think they play each other. So it's going to be absolutely ridiculous seeing who gets in between them. But, man, there's going to be some chaos in the ACC. I don't think there will be two. I mean, there might be two teams getting in, but it depends on who they lose to in the regular season. So there's absolute chaos in the ACC right now. Oh, wait, yeah, I forgot. Louisville lost to Clemson this Saturday. So that I forgot that. I had to clear that up. I went to go check back on the record. So that would mean Clemson. Okay, so Louisville is pretty much out. They have 2 conference losses. Virginia has 2 losses, but they beat Louisville. Miami lost to SMU and Louisville. They have 2, but then Virginia beat them. So I think it's going to be Virginia and Georgia Tech in the ACC championship. Next, the only reason I'm talking about this game also is because of Michigan. Right now, Michigan is actually looking like they're going to get in the playoffs. The reason being is people forget that they only have 2 losses, and one of those losses was out of conference to Oklahoma, so they only have 1 conference loss, and I mean, from the looks of it, they might get in the Big Ten championship, especially if they beat Ohio State, they will get in the Big Ten championship because, I mean, it comes down to because Indiana will have, like, Indiana's, they're going to win out. So it's going to be Indiana and we're just saying if Michigan wins. So it'll be Michigan, Indiana. But, I mean, dang, Michigan, they have looked like the least deserving playoff. I mean, outside of, like, I guess, Georgia Tech or someone like that, they have looked like the most undeserving top 12 team to get in because, I mean, dang, they skimmed by Purdue, they skimmed by Northwestern, they skimmed by Wisconsin. They have been playing with fire all season. They have I don't think they really have a good win. I think they had a okay win against Washington maybe. I forgot all the teams they played, but they really don't look that good. But right now they're probably going to get in, and even if they lose to Ohio State, I mean that's 3 losses, but 2 of them are in conference, 1 of them's out of conference. So there's going to be like a huge chaos with Michigan, like Virginia, Georgia Tech, Utah, USC, teams like that of who gets in the playoffs. This year deciding who gets in the playoffs, like last year it was really chaotic because it was Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, teams like that. SMU, Clemson, all those teams. But man, this year, I don't know, it might be even more crazy. Next, the only reason I'm talking about this game also is because USF, I think, is eliminated from the playoffs. If not mistaken, they have 2 conference losses now. I think they do. Well, one of their losses was to Miami. Their other loss was to, Memphis? And then their loss this week was to Navy. I don't think they're out of the playoffs, but they were in the playoff bracket. They were the 12 seed, so they actually were in the playoffs. But I think they're not even going to be in the top 25 after this, so I think they might be cooked from here on out. But anyway, this has been my review. If you've watched the whole thing, thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the college football playoff poll reaction on Tuesday. If I'm too lazy to make a video, I don't know. I think I'll try to make it though.